And it's update day. We're finally on version 26.2. That means we're onto the sulfur update, and it's time for a lot of fun today. We got some building, we got some farms, and lots of exploring because we need to go and find that sulfur cave right now. Alright, so the first thing we actually need to do is you actually have to go and find the right biome, the sulfur cave biome, and it's kind of hard to find unless you know what you're actually looking for. Now to find this biome, similar to the lush caves where you use a azalea tree on the surface, this one has the sulfur spring type thing where it's going to be shooting up geysers every so often. So we're going to have to go and find some unloaded terrain because the updated world biomes are only going to spawn in places I haven't loaded in this world quite yet. So I've gone and grabbed a bunch of extra rockets. We got plenty of food to make a long journey because I have no idea how far we're going to have to fly away. Thankfully, I haven't done much exploring in this world, only to biomes I actually needed. So I think in that direction, we haven't really gone too far. That direction is our sand biome where we get all our sand from, but this area, I don't think we've flown that far. So we're going to take our rockets, and we have a cinnabar box and 2 sulfur boxes. Plus, we can grab a couple extra shulkers just in case if we need to gather a lot more than I think. So, with everything prepared and ready to go, we're going to go quickly repair my pickaxes because both of them are kind of low right now. And then we're going to head out, which I did on a bit of a live stream. I went over on Twitch and I just recorded because I didn't know how long it was going to take to actually find this biome. So I thought I would kind of chat with my viewers, see if there was make a little bit more entertaining than just kind of flying in a straight line in silence for an hour. But we found it pretty quickly, so let's go over to that footage now. So, let us get to flying. So we're just going to go straight in this direction until we can find some new chunks. Alright, so it's going to be something like these lava pits. But instead of lava, it's going to be the sulfur pool, and we'll see the geyser occasionally. So I think we're just going to go straight. Because the chance... Yeah, okay, so we're already in new chunks because we have lava flowing here. So we just have to keep our eye out. Let's check out the ship, why not? Copper, good. Buried treasure map, also good. There we go. Gold, TNT, heart of the sea. Ooh, a horn. I don't think I've gotten one of these yet. The rest is fine. And we shall immediately run away. I don't think I have a good horn in this world yet. I haven't really had a chance to do that. Into a swamp. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh my god. Yes. Oh. A pink sheep. A naturally spawning pink sheep. Oh my god. I don't think I have ever seen one of these guys before. Nothing I can really do. I'm not keeping them. Unless... F3. So these are the coordinates. We're going to take a screenshot. And maybe one day we shall come back for you, friend. It's not horribly far. We've only gone through half a stack of rockets. I bought more than a shulker's worth. So we should probably do like a side to side. Oh! Zoom in. There we go. We found one. And there's the guys who are greeting us. And here we are. Ooh. Quite loud. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to just steal the basic ingredients for now. These can be turned into a farm, much like dripstone, so we should probably do that. I think you can also craft these. Yeah, you can turn this into sulfur, so you can have infinite sulfur if you want. Ooh. Let's just nodule 1, it keeps it at 3 seconds. It's not horrible, but I know that there are caves below, so maybe we just go straight down. Alright, here we are. We've broken through, so let's land real quick. Wow. Oh, and there they are. Oh my god. Did I forget? I forgot to... Oh my god. Please tell me I have iron somewhere. Yes, I do, in my beacon box. That is quite lucky. Is it just you grab it with the bucket? Yes, it is. You just grab it with the bucket. Alright, nice and easy. So we'll grab a lot of these to turn into a cool farm, maybe. And there was only the one slime, or the sulfur cube. And I don't know if you can breed them, so that might be an issue later on. What we might want to do is set up a beacon. Yeah, I think that's what we might want to do, just so we can collect everything. Alright, and we are back from that little clip of the live stream, just kind of gathering all the materials, and we gathered quite a bit. We got lots of the Cinnabar, as you can see here. There's one thing I need to grab lots of, because with this update, if we grab maybe a bit of sulfur, what we can do is we can make a farm of these sulfur spikes, kind of like dripstone, where they grow like this, and you can get more if I can place it underneath maybe. No, I guess it's kind of hard. You maybe place it up here. And then they grow, and then when you break this, now you have two. So it just grows a little bit. It's a really slow process, as I've seen so far, but it's going to be great to like kind of automate getting sulfur, and even more so the potent sulfur, because with crafting, let's see, there is the crafting table. We can craft a bunch of stuff up. We can get the polished sulfur from 4 of the sulfur. We can get a potent sulfur from the 9 sulfur. We can do the slabs and stairs, and with all the polished, we can then do all the variants if we had a stone cut around here. Let me go find one. Alright, and here are all of the different blocks. So on the bottom here are also all the different types of sulfur ones, and on here is the potent sulfur, which we'll get to play around with a little bit later. Got a bit of a loud thunderstorm going on right now. And then on top we have all the Cinnabar variants, which, oh my god, I love the red. It's such a vibrant, but it's not too vibrant of like just like a kind of concrete or even like the redstone red. It's a nice vibrant but smooth color. And then the yellow, it's kind of a faded yellow, so I'm not sure where I'm going to be able to put this in for a build, but I definitely know what I want to do with this red. Now over here are the different spike lengths. So it can go basically any length as long as you keep adding it. I don't know what the natural max length is. It's probably around like a 3. I don't see it growing much faster than, or much farther than that. I think that's a pretty good color, but it adds a lot of detail. Instead of just the dripstone, we have another thing that can fall down or be kind of used as like a rocky stone. But the yellow, not sure what we're going to use it for. I'm going to have to practice doing some color theory, figuring out what colors go best with this kind of faded yellow that the sulfur now offers. Now, literally in the last episode, we finished setting up this sorting system, so we're going to have to find some space to put these guys, because I know I'm going to need a lot of it, because obviously new blocks, you got to use lots of them. I'm thinking for now, we're going to put them in the caving one. This is kind of what it was, the calcite and the amethyst. Right now, this has the dripstone in this one, so maybe this will be sulfur and this will be cinnabar. Now, I wanted to avoid putting these kind of frames on because it makes it a little harder to click sometimes. Like you might accidentally rotate. You already saw this one was already rotated. So I don't want to do that, but for these ones, just to make it faster to find everything, we might start doing it for the ones that have multiple, especially like over here, we have the bricks. This one's going to be for the resin. The resin's going to go in there. Right now it's empty on one of them maybe. Yeah, this one's empty. So we still have to figure out getting all that, but like, it's kind of hard to tell, like, where does this stone go? Is it the bottom one? No, it's reversed. It's up there. It's confusing. All right, now on to the next cool thing, which is this potent sulfur. I've set up a little bit of an explanation here, where if you put a magma block underneath the sulfur with water, you can see it triggers the geyser like this. Now, using the magma, it sets it off in certain intervals, depending on how many bits of water you have. The more you have, the longer between each one, but each kind of blast of the geyser is actually larger. So these ones are going to be huge. It's going to send you flying because these also affect you. They can throw you up in the air. I think that one's actually turned into ice. That's kind of a problem. Probably not the best place to be doing that down in here. Let's break that back down into water. I guess it's because it's only 1 high and it was just snowing, but as you can see, that's shooting off massive amounts. Now, the next thing you can do, if you want to make it a constant flowing of like shooting up of the... Oh, it's gone again. This was really the worst place to do this. The next thing you can do is use a lava, like just a single source of lava, and it gets them shooting constantly. You can kind of, let's get a look from the other side maybe. You can see it jumps up with every single block, and the max is 4 blocks. That's as high as it's going to get. Gotta do this quickly so it doesn't melt all the ice around here. But if we stand on top of these, it's gonna start sending us up. And we can kind of use each one like a little bit of an elevator. Oh, we're almost onto our second floor. We can't quite make it. But that's a really cool way of, I don't know what we can use it for. I'm sure there's some sort of elevator we could build. I might actually do a little bit of redstone, throw that in here somewhere of little shots of us getting launched up. It's similar, I guess, to how you would do the slime elevators, how it shoots you up. This one is a little harder to control, plus it's a bit bigger, but it is, I guess, redstone-less, which is kind of cool. Alright, now that we've looked at the block palette and had the experiment of the potent sulfur and how that kind of all works out together, let's take a little bit and do some building because I wanted to use these brand new blocks. Now, when all these blocks kind of came out, the only color palette I could think of was like McDonald's for this yellow and red. So instead of using both of them, we're just going to use one of these blocks, just the Cinnabar for this episode, and we'll maybe find some future use for the sulfur. I just don't know what it would work well with in kind of all my build styles. I don't really have anything that would work quite yet. Maybe it's good. I don't know. I got to play around more with the colors. But for this build, we're going to be using some calcite and some polished cinnabar, probably also the other variations. We'll use stairs, slabs, walls, and then probably the bricks as well. Probably won't use any of the raw stuff. We might sneak in a couple of the chisel just for like special areas, but the main thing is going to be these two. And we're taking it just by our village. Over here on one of our islands, we're going to be building our brand new lighthouse. Now, when ships are coming through this kind of area to park or kind of set up in the port over here by our port village, they're going to have to come through here, kind of navigate all this shallow terrain, which will probably eventually deepen, so it's a bit more of a bay and less of a kind of shallow area. And we have all these giant rocks of these kind of little hill mountain things. I think we've had a bit of a thief in here. We got to figure out which blocks they're stealing so that I can replace them with ones the Endermen can't take. But enough about that. We're going to be placing our first lighthouse right here. Now, originally I was planning to have one over there, but maybe we can have multiple. This one will keep them from kind of sliding into over this area because you can't really you can't sail into this area because we're going to have all of our animals. This is going to be our aquarium once upon a time. Or I guess in the future at some point. But at nighttime, we're going to need to stop them from crashing into this area and make sure they make their way over to the proper docking area. So we're going to place a nice and big lighthouse here, and we're going to do a little bit of custom redstone. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make it work, and we'll take a look at all the inside bits afterwards. But let's quickly build this up, and then we can take a look at the redstone, and then we can get on to the last bits of this video, which are going to involve our new friends, the sulfur cubes. So stick around if you want to see me messing around with those guys. Let's get to that time lapse of building the lighthouse. As we come into port here, we can see our lighthouse is working great. All kind of rotating around both levels. Let's go take a look at the redstone behind this whole thing and how it all comes together. Alright, we're here in a creative copy of my hardcore world just so I could place the lighthouse in properly and get the sizing right so I didn't have to build and rebuild and destroy over and over just so I knew it didn't overshadow everything around. Let's get to the redstone, that's the more important part here. So we had a couple of design iterations, but this is the one I kind of landed on. Now, how it works is this piston down here is going to be hooked up to a daylight sensor on night mode. So when night comes on, it powers this piston, which moves this block up here, which sends a signal because it's a block update on this observer, which starts the loop. Now it goes first to this one here, and then the delays kind of offset it so it's not all happening at once. It kind of goes in a line. Then it goes to the next one. Now, it goes into this, powers this block, and then continues around, does the exact same thing all over again. Now, when this is removed, this is when it's daytime, because I don't want it running all the time. Now, there's no way the signal can go through, and it just shuts off. That's a nice way of keeping it only at nighttime. Now, I wanted a bit more than just 3 bits of redstone lamps, so we came over and we duplicated it on top. Now, it's very similar. Originally, I wanted, it's this one here, basically the exact same thing, where this is going to push it up, and it's going to do the same thing, but the redstone was just, it's too tight in here. I made too small of a circle. I couldn't get redstone without it like powering all these other lines. So what I did is I made a little bit of adjustment. As you can see here, this is the nighttime detector instead of, I guess, the daytime, because it's on the blue mode, and it sends a signal through and powers this piston. Now, to stop it from running during the day, I have another one on top here, which is holding this line down here. So right now, there's no way the signal can go through because it's a piston. And it also works when you have the glass here. That's kind of like the middle block. So for down here, even if this accidentally got triggered, it would run through here and then it wouldn't be able to make its way through this glass. So how it works is during the nighttime, the signal gets sent through. And since it's also night, this is also off. So this gets depowered, the piston goes up, and then I have a bit of a signal delay with the repeater here. So once it's nighttime and little past nighttime, not exactly the same time, because it sends one signal and then it has to get powered. So maybe this one needs to be here. So basically at sunset, it powers this one, and then a little bit later, it powers this one, which then powers this. And because this one's going to be retracted, these are going to go up. We're going to have solid blocks in front of the observers, which are going to start these both simultaneously. And if we set it to nighttime here, as you can see, it started to go around. Now there's a little bit of offset with like these ones here, but that's just because of where the redstone is going directly in. And then this is powering the one beside it. So it's a little bit of delay, but it adds a little bit of a pattern into it. We could also maybe offset, so like the top one's slightly faster, and that would just make sure like it's kind of like on an angle. We have like an angle going around. But that's all the redstone is. It's very simple. It was just kind of difficult getting the day-night thing, because now if we /time set 0, we're coming back to day. As you saw, the piston pushed, and then it goes all the way around until this point. And since there's no way the redstone can go through, it shuts off, and then during the day, it's not running all the time. Looks like we've got some phantoms from staying up too many nights. But that's kind of the whole pain thing. Let's head back over into hardcore. So as you can see, here's the nighttime sensor over here. It gets shot into the center of the tower, which goes up a nice little ladder and then powers our piston right there. Everything's basically the exact same. Instead of orange concrete, I use the stone blocks, but it's all the same with the same kind of principle. This one, I had to put a trapdoor on the roof just so I could get this signal coming from the daylight sensor. As you can see, it's currently off because it's nighttime, but everything worked out pretty well here. But now that we have our build complete, redstone and all, and another kind of signal to tell us when it's nighttime, I guess you don't really need that when you're out here, but it's a nice little addition to the whole area, adds more to our whole port village vibe. Everything's going to be safe, no more ships will be crashing into these islands. Maybe that's something I can do. I can have some shipwrecked ones down here from before we had our magnificent lighthouse in place. Now, let's do the fun part of this update and play with those nice, cool, squishy sulfur cubes. Alright, so we're in the plains outside my museum here because this is basically the flattest place I could find, and we have all the different types of the sulfur cubes, minus the TNT guy. Just didn't want to mess around with him. Maybe we'll go around with him later. And now we're just going to quickly rapid fire go through each of them, explain what their kind of attributes are, because each one has a couple different attributes which affects how the whole thing works compared to like the regular slime. Because this guy just bounces around, doesn't do anything. He does take damage like this, but once they get the blocks in them, they don't take damage. They can't die unless it's to like a flame bow or a fire aspect sword. So let's just go through each of the different types and explain what each one kind of does and the physics that are with them. Alright, so depending on what block the sulfur cube eats, its physics can change. There are 4 stats that determine how it behaves. Speed is how fast the cube travels. Bounce determines how much energy it keeps after hitting a surface. More bounce means it rebounds higher and for longer. Ground friction controls how quickly it slows down on the ground. Low friction means it slides farther, while high friction stops it much faster. Air drag is the resistance it experiences while moving through the air. Now for the archetypes. Bouncy is like a rubber ball. Fast speed, high bounce, medium ground friction, and low air drag. Explosive has a medium speed, medium bounce, medium ground friction, and high air drag. It can also be ignited, exploding with slightly less power than a block of TNT. Fast flat is like a golf ball. Fast speed, low bounce, medium ground friction, and low air drag. Fast sliding is like a hockey puck. Fast speed, no bounce at all, low ground friction, and low air drag, so it slides incredibly far. High resistance is extremely slow, with a low air drag, low bounce, and high ground friction. It's much harder to push around than the others. Light is like a beach ball, slow speed but high bounce, medium ground friction and high air drag, so it kind of floats in the air a bit. Regular has a medium speed, medium bounce, medium ground friction, and low air drag. Hot uses the exact same physics but damages anything that it touches. Slow bouncy has a slow speed but high bounce, medium ground friction, and medium air drag. Slow flat has a slow speed, low bounce, medium ground friction, and medium air drag. Slow sliding has a slow speed, no bounce, low ground friction, and low air drag, making it glide across the ground. And finally, sticky has fast speed, low air drag like fast flat, but it trades its bounce for extremely high ground friction, causing it to stick to surfaces instead of bouncing. And those are all of the different types of these guys. You can do a bunch of different, I showed in the little bottom left of each one. The different blocks, there's tons, so go onto the wiki if you want to know each one. These are just the basic ones. There's like the gold block for the iron one instead. You can swap them out. They all do the exact same things in each of their categories. But there's a couple more things you gotta know. So for the blocks, when you have one inside, if you want to get it out, you can either swap it for a different block or use some shears and steal it back. And then you can put it back in the bucket, and they're frozen like that. Now, there are ways to actually kill them, because currently, you can see, they're immortal whilst they're kind of have a block inside them, but there are two ways to actually accidentally kill them. First is suffocation, as you can see there. Let's see if we can save him first. Nope. Let's save the babies at least. And when they die, they split into two smaller versions that take a little while to grow up. And if you feed them slime balls, that speeds it up. It's like about 50 slime balls to get an almost instant grow up. But then there's also the problem of fire aspect, or the bow with the flame. Any flame damage or fire damage is actually going to kill these guys eventually. There you go. And then they drop the block, and then they split into two. Now these little guys will eventually despawn, so it's not a good way of like duplicating and getting more of them. But what you can do is when you get one, you name it. So you name them with the name tag not in the bucket apparently. That can also cause it to despawn. And now if you kill this guy, let's kill him. These both should have, yeah, they're both have the names, and then these ones should never despawn. They'll grow up, and now you have two instead of one, and that's how you kind of breed them. It's a little bit more dangerous than just feeding them something you have to kill to get more, but make sure you name them, because now when these guys get killed, when they're grown up, they'll split into two more. You can also remove the name using the anvil, but you can also just keep the name so you know which ones are going to stay, and then these guys are going to despawn eventually, so we'll just remove them for now. And that's where we're going to end today's episode. A brand new biome, so many more blocks. We got a whole new build into our world, as well as a new mob that we can do a bunch of things with, and I'm thinking of having some fun with that in maybe another episode. Plus, we have to get our spike farm up and running. I think I'm going to do one for both the sulfur spikes and the dripstone, but I think our world is coming together great, and this update is doing great things for Minecraft. So that's where we're going to leave it, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more episodes coming soon. Until next time.